So this is the actual plan. I mean, we planned that plan. Yeah.
An actual plan that said Weibo.com on it.
Yeah, yeah.
With Tianjin Airlines.
Yeah, Sina Weibo.
You're spending a lot of money on marketing right now, growing the audience.
Yeah. In a normal market, you don't have to spend too much marketing money for social media or social network. But in China, because there's so many people doing that, you want to recruit users earlier, quickly. So we are spending a lot more this year than last year.
Now, you studied journalism in America at the University of Oklahoma. Now, as a journalist, I'm curious about this.
Yeah.
What did you learn as a journalist that you are still applying to your work today as the CEO of Sina?
Actually, my formal journalism education was in China. I went to Fudan University in Shanghai, and my major was in journalism. And in the last year.
And you were a broadcast journalist.
Yeah. I was working for Shanghai TV station. I mean, after I graduated from Fudan. And then I went to University of Oklahoma for graduate study and in journalism. So I pay a lot of attention to media industry, not only in China, but also in the US. And on the other hand, I think for journalism, the graduate degree actually was not about writing, not about production anymore. It was more about research. It's more about media management. I think that helps me a lot in terms of understanding media as a business versus media as a profession.
You use Weibo, right?
Of course.
And how many, it's fans, right? Not followers in Twitter speak, it's fans in Sina Weibo speak.
Yeah.
How many fans do you have on Sina Weibo?
I don't have that many. I only have, last time I checked was 165,000.
Only 165,000. And what do you share with them?
No, actually, I don't write anything because I'm kind of the owner of this platform, so I usually don't want to write anything controversial. Otherwise, I mean, you get a lot of comments from your fans, and people will give a lot of hard time. And so I tend to be very neutral in terms of what I say, what I do. Yeah.
But it does surprise me the number of people who do express opinion on Sina Weibo. In fact, there's a lot of anger and outrage in certain corners of Sina Weibo, especially against corruption or social injustice in China. All of that being conveyed on your platform. Now, how does the Chinese government view that? If
you understand my background as a journalist, I mean, I had obviously had our luxury in a way to observe what have happened in China's media industry and China's society in the last 20 years. So there's a lot of changes. I think China becomes much more open, much more transparent. And the people has, in a lot of way on the website, they have a lot of freedom to express themselves. And so actually Weibo bring that freedom to a next level. So not only they can express, they can also distribute their content and opinions with their Weibo account. I think there's a lot of freedom on that, and I think because our experience working in China, we understand local law and regulations, and we're very experienced in terms of working in this kind of environment to understand what's, is tolerable, what is probably kind of out of line a little bit. So I think so far has been good.
Everyone knows this. China is in the midst of its harshest crackdown in 20 years. There's the continued detention of Liu Xiaobo. There's a young woman serving time in a labor camp for sending out a single satirical tweet. I'm not going to ask you why this is happening. That's not your job.